Does anyone has a problem now with the connectivity? More the teachers.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen and then turn it over to Nelly in just 2 minutes. Okay, let me start. Colleagues, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
we can see.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome everybody to our Community of Practice meeting. This is the Global Partnership for Education, KIX, KIX, KIX Africa 19 Hub. Today's agenda, we will do a few things. We will have a short welcome right now. Then Nelly Machu will take us through the objectives of today's meeting. Then John will introduce the teachers who will be speaking today.
Hello.
We will hear from them. And then Nelly will help us to and then we'll look at some next steps. Okay, so very quickly, I will tell you a little bit about what this meeting is all about. Who are we? For those of you that are new, we are the KIX Africa 19 Hub. KIX stands for 3 words: knowledge, innovation, exchange, KIX. That means that we exchange knowledge and information, innovation. So really, this project is a place where countries come together to share knowledge, innovations, and good policies and practices in education with each other. There are 18 countries that are part of the hub. Countries in East, West, and Southern Africa. And if you are here today, that means that you are part of the hub too. This project that we are in right now is a community of practice. A community of practice are a group of people that come together to learn from each other and with each other over a period of time. And they are self-motivated to work on their own improvement and their own learning. So we are all part of this community of practice. And the topic we are studying is implementing competency-based education and curricula in basic education systems. We have come together, we are learning together about how we can better implement CBC. So this community of practice has been going for 1 year now. And earlier this year, we had a series of workshops, and now we're having some member-led sessions that are led by members of the community about areas of interest. Now I'm going to turn it over to one of those members right now. Nelly, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you so much, Marianne. Hello, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to our meeting today. As Marianne has said, this is an opportunity today to share experiences, especially from our teachers who are the curriculum implementers on the ground. This is a very long-awaited moment because we have been longing to hear actually from the voices of our teachers in terms of implementation of CBC, because you are the one in touch with the kind of the implementation of this competency-based curriculum. So our today's objectives are actually 3. First of all, we are going to listen and learn from the teachers who we have said are the implementers of the competency-based curriculum. So we are going to have 6 of them that are going to take us through the kind of experience they have in terms of curriculum interpretation, curriculum design interpretation. They're going to talk about the resources that they use, the kind of learning experiences to help learners develop core competencies, nurture values, and also address some of the issues or pertinent and contemporary issues that they face through learning, then how they also use technology in terms of teaching. So we are going to hear their experiences, and then again, we are also going to hear the challenges the teachers experience. So then we are also going to tease out the kind of unique role and responsibilities of the teachers in the development and implementation of CBC, because remember, these are the people on the ground. They are actually the drivers of these competency-based curriculum. So we need to consider as they discuss, as they present, let's be very keen to tease out the unique role and the responsibilities of teachers in the development and implementation of CBC, because then this will also inform us on our next steps, even in our organizations, in the ministries of education, and so forth. Then at the end of it, we shall be able to identify successes and challenges in the implementation of the competency-based curriculum at the classroom level. And this will inform also our kind of intervention measures, even as we continue in our exchange of our ideas. How then are we able to address some of these challenges? So without further ado, I'd like to take this back to John, who will now take us through the introduction of the teachers, the 6 teachers that have joined us to share their experiences with us. Over to you, John.
Yeah, thank you, Nelly and Marian, for giving us that brief background. And as Marian has said, and Nelly also, in our today's presentation, we are going to listen to teachers who are the curriculum implementers. And they know the challenges, the successes they are going through, and what really we're going to learn from them. So in our today's presentation, we are going to listen to 6 teachers across different countries. The first teacher is the first one from Malawi. Malawi, we are going to listen to Mrs. Mercy Walungali Gondowe, a mathematics teacher and head teacher at the Sunduini Secondary School. So can we see you so that can we see, are you Mrs. Mercy? Are you online? Can we see you? Okay, thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome. So we are going to listen, you're going to learn a lot from her this afternoon during this session. And the second person also is Mr. Frank Kasembe. He's a physics teacher in a secondary school and also a head teacher. We are going to learn great things from Malawi and from these 2 people, these most important people, who has been our curriculum implementers. Welcome, Mr. Frank. And from there also,
thank you.
In fact, both of those people, as I said, Mercy and Mr. Frank, they have been a divisional trainers for an in-service training program for mathematics and sciences to strengthen mathematics and science in secondary school. So they have been so wonderful in that direction. So you are welcome, and we expect to learn from you. And from there we go to Kenya. We have 3 people from Kenya, and we have Selofas Wanamambe Masinde, a primary school teacher and a CBC facilitator in Kenya. Can we see you, Selofas? Selofas, you are welcome. And also Tony Abele is a teacher in public primary school in Kisumu County, Kenya. And Tony teaches grade 4, 5, and 6. He also teaches in Kiswahili, art and crafts, agri-science. So Tony Abele, if your video is on, can we see you? But we say welcome to this community of practice, and we are keen to learn from you. You're welcome. And also we go to Rachel Wangari. She's a senior teacher in charge of special education at Katebe Vet Lab Primary School. And he has a special he has under her a special unit for learners with intellectual disabilities. She also teaches all subjects at that intermediate level. So Rachel, we welcome, and we hope to learn from you. And from there, we go to Tanzania. Tanzania, we have one person, Nima B. Matingo, a former teacher of a competency-based education and a current curriculum coordinator of English and inclusive education at the Tanzania Institute of Education and the Department of Research, Information, and Publication. You are most welcome, Nima. So without much ado, we welcome all of you, all those wonderful teachers who have been working and have been working and are working still in all these areas. And we are expecting to get the best from you, and we can learn, and others also can learn from you today in today's meeting. Back to you, Nelly.
Thank you very much, John, for that. I think at this juncture, then we're going to have presentations from our teachers. So you can take over again, John, and invite the first teacher, who is a teacher from Malawi, Mrs. Mercy Mwalugani. You can go on, John, and take over in terms of guiding the presentations.
Okay, so before we start, we have eight minutes for each teacher, and I encourage that we wait after their presentation so we can able to have a time to ask questions so that we can have time. So Marian, will you share privileged to welcome Mrs. Mercy. She's a mathematics teacher and head teacher at Esun Dewini Secondary School, to take the floor. Mrs. Mercy, you are welcome.
Hello.
Hello. We hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much. So mine is on experience sharing on outcome-based curriculum. First of all, I'll talk a little about outcome-based curriculum. This is education that stipulates or that tells us what we expect from our students. Outcome-based curriculum, like it's like we expect some knowledge and skills that students are supposed to achieve during a classroom. I have got the three types of outcome-based curriculum. If I want to characterize it, it must be practical, meaning that students should know how to do things. A student should have an ability to make good decisions. In an outcome-based curriculum, we expect it also to be fundamental. There, I mean, students should understand what they are doing and why. That's why when we have lessons, when we are preparing for outcome-based lessons, we include rationale. Students should know why they are doing that. It should also be reflective. On reflective, students should be able to apply the knowledge they get from these appropriately and responsibly when they leave school. So on another slide, how do teachers come up with activities and experiences
Mercy,
for
we
their...
have lost you.
Wow.
Hello, Mercy.
Hello? Mercy? Mercy? Hello, Mercy? Hello?
John, I think we have lost Mercy.
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
as-
I'm
Okay,
you're
able
back.
to hear.
Yeah,
great.
it's there, yeah. Yes. Go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. Mercy, unmute.
Mercy, unmute.
Unmute.
What about here?
Okay. Yeah, it's good.
Unmute, unmute.
Messi, on mute. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
May I have that screen? The slides.
Okay. The slides is on the screen.
I can't see them.
We are seeing it. We are seeing the slides.
Messi, you can continue. We see the slides.
We are seeing this. We are seeing the slides. We are seeing it.
Hello, Mercy. We are seeing the slide which is say how do teachers come up with activities and experience for their students. So this is the screen we are seeing.
Okay. Yeah. So we are saying that we get them from the syllabus, from the curriculum, teachers' guides. We also have books. So when we are coming up with the activities for our students, we are guided by the objectives that are found in these documents. So we also look for those activities that promote critical thinking, and then we give them to our students. Sometimes they work in collaboration. Sometimes we add from our own experience to explain the concepts, but guided by the success criteria. So that's how we come up with the activities for our students. And most of the times when we come up with the activities, we consider the following: the ability of those students, their age and sex of those students. We also consider class size. We also consider nature of the student, nature of the activity. Sometimes if it is harmful or not, or we can use it, they'll be safe or not, when we are coming up with these activities. Now, may I go to the next slide? Next slide.
Yeah, we are. It's there already. Yeah. How the teachers format from? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So this one we are only focusing on the classroom situation where a teacher has got a lesson. So when we are presenting our lessons to our students, we use oral, sometimes we use written exercises, practicals for science subjects. We also give the students presentations. They go and research, they come back, they present, and then we assess them. So we assess them. We do formative as well as summative. So we have 3 types of assessment, of which 2 are formative. The third one is summative. On the assessment for learning, this one is done by the teacher to the students, sometimes to check the prerequisite of those students, because sometimes you may just be given the lesson. You have to see what student know first, and then from there the teacher is able to have a starting point from there. While assessment as learning, we let learners reflect on their own learning. They check their own progress. The teacher is just there to guide, but it's for the learners themselves to see if there is progress in their education or not. So both assessment for learning and assessment as learning are formative assessment. As for summative assessment, we have assessment of learning, which means maybe by the end of the lesson, students should be able to achieve the following, for example. So we assess the students at the end of the lesson. Maybe we give them an exercise to see if they have achieved what we wanted them to know, and if they have acquired the skills we wanted them to have. May I have to go to another slide?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So how do teachers gather teaching aids and resources? How do teachers gather teaching aids and resources? We are provided by the school administration. So the teachers, they tell their head of departments that we need the following resources, and then they also report to the administration. So the school buys for that. We also use improvisation. We replace the commercial ones are replaced. We also use teaching, we say Tarula, teaching using locally available resources. We use also that one. No? Sometimes we do send students because we know that some of the resources can be locally found in their homes. We send the students to collect them from their homes. I have lost the screen. May I have that screen? It's not here with me.
It is displayed.
Open. I'm looking for it. I can't see it on my phone. Oh.
We can see here.
We can see. Are you able to see? I can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we say how do teachers gather teaching aids and resources to conduct? Are you okay now?
Yeah, I'm fine now.
Okay.
So we said
Yeah.
sometimes we do send the students to collect them from their homes. And sometimes we borrow from sister schools, especially if they are consumables, they just share. They just share to us. But if these things like beakers, test tubes, so those ones we borrow, after we using them, we send them back. And sometimes we get some of the resources from parents and chiefs. For example, at our school, when we have something concerning culture, they go borrow regalia from these people. Yeah. So on the last slide, are teachers supported by education officers? I would say yes. Yes, we are really supported by education officers. We have Directorate of Quality Assurance and Services, in brackets we call it DQAS, that inspect schools and advise the head and staff on all matters of education. So they inspect us sometimes maybe every term, and they advise us. They also provide us with some resources. There is also education division officers. They provide us with funding, teaching and learning materials like books, lab materials. We obtain also from these education officers. We also have the Directorate of Teacher Education Development, DTED. It provides in-service training programs for teachers. For example, we have CBC Malawi. It started many years back, and as for me as a person, I joined it in 2009, and I have learned a lot from CBC. I am updated because of the same CBC Malawi. So we are being trained. We must CPDs, they give us, we undergo a number of CPDs from DTED, and we get the update information from them. So take note that both DTED and DQAS are Ministry of Education directors, and they really help us a lot in terms of teaching, learning, and assessing of our students. Thank you. Sorry for the disruptions. Thank you so much. That's the end.
Thank you, Mercy. And
Yeah.
I encourage all to have our questions, to note them, as we are going to have time for that. So for now, thank you very much. And we have learned a lot from you, but we'll be ready for some questions from colleagues.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we come to the next person who is going to take us, Mr. Frank Kasembe, who is a VCT secondary school and a teacher and a head teacher also, can able to share his own experience with us. Because of time, let's keep time so that we can have time to discuss and answer some questions and make some discussions. Thank you. So, Frank.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, okay. My name is Frank Kazembe. Of course, looking at challenges faced by competency or outcome-based curriculum implementation. Maybe before I go that far, I'll just give a background of what I know of the CBC. Because I understand many of us teachers confuse, not only teachers, even parents, confuse competency-based curriculum with examination-oriented curriculum, because we expect at the end of examination, especially national examinations, for our students or candidates to perform better. To us, that's the outcome. But then this CBC, the competency-based curriculum, is geared towards the outcome, not on the national examinations per se, but then it's a curriculum that puts emphasis on a clearly articulated idea of what learners are expected to know and be able to do. So there is the difference. For examination-oriented curriculum, we expect students to perform well during national examinations and obtain certificates. But for CBC, the interest is on getting articulated idea that learners are expected to know and be able to do. That means acquiring skills, knowledge, and attitudes that these learners will have to use them after leaving the school system. And the CBC is a learner-centered curriculum as opposed to a teacher-centered curriculum. In Malawi, this started in 2014, and it started with Form 1, and it has been being implemented gradually until it rolled up to Form 4 in 2007. As we are talking, it is now operational, fully operational. Now, on the challenges, some of them include, it's a challenge to implement inclusive education. This is because most teachers are not trained for inclusive education. So it is a challenge where we are using competency-based curriculum, and then we have inclusive education. It is also a challenge to manage records of learners. Why do we have a challenge in managing records of learners? It is because this type of a curriculum requires a lot of resource, like the human resource, stationaries. Like in Malawi, we have a problem with the science teachers. So many science teachers are unqualified, so to speak, or underqualified, that could be the best way to use. There is also time management as a challenge. To make sure that each and every student has acquired the necessary skills, knowledge, or attitudes is a challenge, because we need to make a good follow-up for each and every student. The curriculum seems to be overloaded. There's too much work to be covered within a given term. So that's a challenge as well. At the same time, we've got large classes. Large classes pose challenges in assessing learners. Most teachers perceive assessment as a test which is summative. And you discover that other teachers have limited abilities to use different methods and tools to assess their students. We mostly think of a test at the end of a term, or a test at the end of a topic, or end of a year. We think that's the only assessment that we can, but there are different tools and methods that can be used. So that poses a challenge. I've already talked of overloading, so there's too much work to teachers, considering that we have got few qualified teachers in secondary school, especially in the science departments. There are no assessment handbooks in schools for guidance. In Malawi, of course, this CBC is operational, but then we have a problem of not having handbooks where we can get guidance on how to go by. These handbooks are supposed to be developed by the Ministry of Education, but we don't have them. The little study that I did it is discovered that the handbooks might be a problem because there is a lack of consensus on how to go about the continuous assessment between the Minister of Education and the MANEB. MANEB is the Malawi National Examination Board. This is the one that gives national examinations and gives certificates on maybe JC junior certificates and the O levels. So there's no consensus between the Minister of Education and the MANEB, which is the National Examination Board, because the ministry stipulates that assessment should have 40%, and then the final grade should have 60%, so that we make an A grade of 100%. But then the MANEB don't use that. They will just go for the final grade and then make it 100%. So that lack of consensus is a problem in implementing the outcome-based curriculum. There are also new and challenging topics to some teachers who are underqualified, especially to the sciences. Before this curriculum-based, the competency-based curriculum, we used to have physical science, and then after this was introduced, we have a split. We have got chemistry and physics. So you discover that most of the teachers who are still teaching these subjects are the ones who are handling physical science. They may not be good at one side, but they are forced to teach because we have few teachers, qualified teachers. I feel like there are also some irrelevant topics in our curriculum here in Malawi. For instance, in history, you discover that learners learn about maybe kingdoms of the Chinese civilization in our Malawian curriculum, which to me would not address the objective of making students acquire knowledge, skills, and attitudes that they are to use even after leaving the school system. I also find a challenge where we talk of connections or relations as one progresses from one level to another level in some concepts. Let's take an example. Let's take an example of mathematics from primary through secondary to tertiary. You discover that there are certain gaps that you don't mend. One moves from primary having certain concepts. When he goes to see, or when he or she goes to secondary school, she gets totally different stuff without a bridge somewhere. And when one goes to college, you discover there's calculus and other things that were not even introduced at the lower levels. So to me, these are the challenges that we are likely facing while trying to implement the competency or outcome-based curriculum in Malawi. Thank you so much. That's the end of what I heard.
Thank you so much.
Ziko Mokwambiri, asante sana. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for this very exclusive presentation. As I said before, that let's have our notes, so after which we can ask questions. So now we go to other speakers from Kenya. So Kenya, I know that Celofas is set. So we are going to listen from Celofas, Wanambe Masinde from Kenya to share our experience. Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm fine. Cleophas seemed to be having a problem with his internet connectivity. He has just been thrown out he tells me he's struggling to get back. So maybe we can give to Abele, the one who is there, but maybe we give Cleophas a little time. If he gets back, well and good, but if it takes long, then I suggest that we invite.
Okay.
Cleo,
So
maybe
Tony,
we can find out where Cleophas.
okay. Okay, so we look for Tony Abele to share his experience as we await Cleophas. Anthony, you're welcome. Tony, can you hear me?
I thought I saw him in the meeting.
Yeah, yes, he's in the meeting. I don't know, but Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anthony?
Tony unatafutwa. Tony Cleophas mnatafutwa. Sasa tufanyeje? Wameita Cleophas. Please.
Hello? So, well, can we go to Richard? Can we go to Richard?
Audio ni kwako. Audio ni kwako.
Yeah, Richard.
Yeah, so utumia another document. Please mute. Tumia hata simu yako. Because they have already wame mount the. Please mute.
Please mute. We are. Okay. Yeah, Richard, on mute. Richard, on mute. On mute, Richard. Okay, good. So, Miriam, can you share the presentation of for Richard until we get back to Anthony?
Okay. How are you, everybody?
We are fine, and you?
Fine. Fine, thank you.
Rachel, are you okay? Rachel? Yeah.
Hi, Rachel. Can you hear us?
Rachel, can you hear us? I think there are lots of internet issues with most of the participants. Rachel?
John, we can go to Nema then we come back to.
Okay, well, let's go to Nema. Nema? Maya, you can share for Nema, after which we come back to.
Yeah.
Yes. Nema, you're welcome. Nema? Yeah. Yeah, Nima.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll just have a quick introduction. I'm Neema, a former teacher, but now a curriculum developer of Tanzania Institute of Education as an English expert and inclusive education, as the introduction went by. Can I get the next screen? So this was what I wanted to say. I'll go very quickly, just touch base on each part. What I like about CBC, go to the next so that I choose one. Next slide, please. CBC has a lot of challenges, but as a teacher, CBC really helped me to be a better communicator. Growing up, I was a very, almost a mute person. I never used to speak, but now with CBC, I was forced to kind of communicate what my plans are, what I'm planning to do, especially with my students. So there are so many things that I learned during CBC, and one of them is seeking for and promoting collaboration. The collaboration I was seeking for, it was just not from my students, but the collaboration with other teachers and also my students. Next, please. So as a curriculum developer, one of my roles really is to develop a curricula for pre-primary, primary, secondary, and teacher education, English, and also inclusive education. And currently, our country is in the process of reviewing the curricula in order to equip the school leavers not only knowledge, but skills and attitude to face the challenges of the 21st century. Next, just move. Another role, that's what we are doing right now. We are in the process, like the whole country is also trying to contribute. And what knowledge do we want our kids to have right now? What skills and what attitude do we want them? And why those? Because right now we have these teachers and other people who, let's say, century old, but you have this new generation who find most of the things in the syllabus, in the curriculum, not relevant, or even it is not relevant to them, but also to the environment that they are in. So right now we are in the curriculum review. That's a major thing that we are on. Although curriculum CBC started way back, but now we are trying also to go back and see some of the lessons we've learned in 7 years of implementing CBC in primary school, then how we can take it to all the levels of education in Tanzania. Next, please. And also I carry out in-service and pre-service teachers. How I carry the training for pre-service and in-service teachers so that they can effectively implement the curriculum. And this is done actually before the curriculum is enrolled, but during, but also any time that the need arises when there are availability of funds, but also the time. You can move to another one. Preparing teachers to become, as a teacher trainer, I want to share something. I've chosen to be a learning partner than a trainer. So when people tell me I'm a trainer, I tell them no. Actually, I learn from teachers because teachers are the ones in the classroom. I've been there. I know the challenges. I know some of the issues that are happening on the ground, and therefore I don't go to training as I know everything. No, normally I will tell the teachers, as you can see in the next slide. When I go there, I go by this. Just next. This is what I live for. When I go to training, I normally tell the teachers to prepare lessons. If I have a group of teachers of different areas, like science or art, or I'll tell them to prepare a lesson of some sort. And then that lesson will be used as a start of the training, whereby teachers will present, will teach in the training. And then from there, myself and the teachers will try to improve what they've presented, so that we move. Because if you go there as if you are trying to tell them or report to them what CBC is, but they're already in the field. So I use their background knowledge on teaching just to enhance what they have. So I go with this motto: you tell me I forget, and teach me I remember. But when you involve them in the lessons, in the teaching, in the training, they really feel valued, but at the same time, they go and implement what we have learned. Next. So this is some of the teachers' activities that have been involved in training. So on the left, my left, that's the teacher that is during training, teaching living things. So what I tell them, that maybe you tell the students to plant something in small bottles before the lesson, way before the lesson, so that when you are starting to teach, the students will be there with their small projects, showing the little plants. And also I'll tell the teacher to tell them, the student, to place these things in different, like in darkness, in the light. Some of them, they should not water them, like they should be in groups, so that we know that when you are teaching living things, especially plants, you will have those that will come with the dead plants, those will come with the ones that are very, they've grown, those ones who have not even come out of the ground yet. And so the teacher will be telling them, using evidence on the ground, that this plant, why it didn't sprout, maybe because there was no water. The students will be answering that. And on the other side, the right side, those are teachers during one of the training. There will be gallery walking. Can we go to the next one? So also one of the thing I've been involved after 2 years that I have been at TIE as a teacher. I was using the materials, but now I'm told to prepare the materials. One of my role at TIE is to prepare. So these are some of the books and the teacher's guide that I've been involved in. And there is access. You can access our material on the website that I've provided down there. You can see how we prepare the materials, and if they are useful, or if you have any question, then we can share. Next. So the assessment, I think most of the things about the assessment, my fellow teachers have talked about, so I don't want to repeat, but I will go to the next slide, which next slide, please. So we look at the formative assessment, but also we look at the summative assessment, but also we have to teach the learners to assess themselves as they learn. So I call them as learning assessment. Assessment is learning. So even the students in CBC are supposed to assess themselves. How were they yesterday and how are they? So it's only not just us formatively assessing them, or it's not us summatively assessing them, but also encouraging them to assess themselves, how they did yesterday and how they are today. Next. We have this, for instance, this is how I do formative assessment, and also just a student assess themselves. There is one competence in Form 1. So, expressing English orally and writing needs, feelings, and ideas using appropriate vocabulary. And this one on the next slide, the students are supposed to write things in the diary. So before writing things in the diary, that's I call it a mini project, where the learners at the beginning of the term that I need them to make a diary, because we don't have diaries and most students do not have diaries, but normally they would make their own little diaries as a project. And then they'll prepare the diaries, and then I'll give them time, a month or so before writing things in the diary. They need to have a diary. I don't want them to learn about diaries, me showing them the diaries I have, or telling them to go and buy the diaries. Actually, the economically is not very viable. So I'll tell them to go and involve themselves making these small diaries, and then they'll make them. And at the end of the day, when the time comes to writing things in the diary, all my students would have their little diaries. Doesn't matter how ugly they are or whatever. And I will give them marks, like formatively, give them 5 marks, or even, it depends on how they perform. But mostly I won't even tell somebody, oh, this is so ugly. But of course, the best diary using local materials will always win and get the full marks. So that's how I do the assessment. Okay, let's go. Also, summative assessment, we've seen that people talk about the final exam, but we summative assess the students even in front. So there are some questions that they need to be answering them while they're in school. They shouldn't wait in the final exam. So I have some of the questions, the changes that have been going on. Next slide. I want us to compare the difference. So this is like 10 years ago. A, state 3 consequences of each of the following. That is a question. It's like a content-based question, typically. But when you look at B, see, irresponsible sexual behavior among the youth, as you can see, poses a problem to sometimes justify this statement. Remember, they've done this in class. They've done the research. They come to report in the class during learning and whatever. And when they write the exam, so these are the things that they've already researched on. It's very easy for them to kind of write, because they know, oh, so STDs are caused by irresponsible sexual behavior. So this is more content, but if you look at it, it's a bit competence, not 100%, but it kind of gives those 3, the knowledge side, the attitude side, and also the skill side of CBC. Next. So the questions items, whether they are formatively assessed or whatever, they need to test both the heart, the head, the hands. Like they have to go together. But we always concentrate on the head, but what about the heart? Okay, you tell the students about STIs and STD, but if the heart does not understand that that's immoral, it won't even be any help to the students. And the hands are hands-on activities. They need to do the research themselves, not you doing the research and reporting to them. Next. Next, please. Okay, so we need to change the way we formatively assess. And the national exam, 50% formative and 50% final with the National Examination Council. But the negotiations are still going on with us. We are still negotiating on the table, coming forth. And because what is the point of having these activities in class, but they are not given the recognition, the marks? So I don't know what is on the other end, but it is on our end, we are still negotiating on how to really have a 50% kind of form assessment, like the final exam with other stuff. Next. There are many challenges, and my fellow teachers have already said I'm not going to repeat them. If we can go to the next one, if we find one that has not been, that would be nice. Next. Our infrastructure, that's the song. We don't have laboratories, we don't have enough classes. Next. Mechanism, again, the assessment, because we don't have the mechanism to assess the competencies. and that makes the student incompetent at the end of the day. Next. Large class, they've already spoken about, so I won't go in. It's not very easy to implement CBC if you have a large class, but I have a positive side to that. For English teachers, they have so many classes, but CBC kind of helps a teacher to cope with the class size and also many lessons. So normally divide the students into groups, and those should be term-wise groups, and make them work in groups, and then mark the group work, and then return for the individuals to write them down in the exercise book. It works that way. Next. English teachers are having it in Tanzania because after the change to CBC, the methodology that English methodology had to change from the grammar translation method to the communicative approach. That has been a problem. You have to teach, skills like listening, speaking, reading, and inside there, embedded grammar and vocabulary. That has been a problem. And I think that would be another topic for another day, I think. Yeah, so move to the next, and I think that will be almost the end. Partnership with parents. Talk to parents all the time so that they may know what you are up to. Sending the students to do these little projects require like talking to parents. They need to know what's going on. Next. So this is the reflection I want all of us to. Is CBC going to survive, or is it just going to fall on the face of other trends that have been around? If it's very beneficial, do we keep it, and how do we improve it so that we don't move from one competence-based another day we move to another one? So that's my reflection question. Next. So thank you so much for listening to me. I appreciate for the time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this presentation. And I believe that colleagues are taking notes, expect questions from us and comments. But indeed, it's a very good presentation. Thank you once more for this presentation. So we go to, is some of us ready, or Tony or Rachel?
Hello. Hello, Tony is ready.
Okay, Tony is ready. Tony is ready. So let's hear from Tony from Kenya. Tony is ready.
Thank you. Sorry, I've been having trouble logging into the meeting due to some technological challenges, but finally here I am. So hello, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Tony Abele from Kenya, from Kisumu County. I'm an award-winning teacher. Normally, apart from being a teacher, we are advocates against SGBV, child rights and responsibility, and also ensuring that our community is safe for children so that they have a better future. Okay, I want to get back to the slides. I don't know if Marianne is ready.
Hi,
Marianne,
Tony.
are you ready?
Which
Hi.
slide would you like to show?
Slide. From the latest final presentation
Yes,
I sent
can
to
you
you.
see my screen?
I can see your screen. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Marianne. So I'm going to talk about my CBC curriculum teaching experience in my workstation here in Kisumu County in Kenya. And we go to the first slide, that is interpretation of the curriculum designs that we have. Now, one of the designs that I took to talk about is community service learning. After the learner has learned a particular strand in class, how is he or she able to interpret or extend it to the community? Because we are done with the classroom. how is the learner going to send this to the community so that parents can know the CBC is working and children are learning? Now, if you look at the picture, there's a screen grab of innovative gardening that they learned at school, and the same skill and knowledge was transferred back to the community through that productive relationship with the community, as you can see. Now, these things were done by the learners. They took the picture and they came to show me. And I can say that I could talk about community service learning as one of the areas that has been reinforced as per the interpretation of the curriculum design. Next slide, please. Another one is, you can see my learners during their day-to-day task of taking care of our innovative garden. The value that we instill was responsibility, and they're working in groups. They normally do this in groups, and you can see that collaboration in trying to carry out the task each and every day is what is working for them. And I can tell you that if you can see from the picture, I have very lovely kales or spinach. Sorry, let me use that spinach. Next slide. And then another one was designing learning activities to develop competencies, nature values, and REST PCI. PCI, we have digital literacy as a core competency. Now, that was during my science lesson. I also teach home science. We were making a Word document with the learners, and they're working in groups also. And they were using the digital devices that we have, the digital learner device, the DLD. And from the screen grab, most of them were able to create a Word document, and they were able to display it to us. And right now, we even had a follow-up task where the learners created a Word document back at home, and each of them were able to we were able to see what they did back at home. And that one, we encourage the use of technology in learning so that learners become more techno-savvy as they carry out the teaching and learning tasks. Next slide. Then that is my arts and craft lesson. Learners were making paper crafts, weaving, bead making, wax crayons, and tie and dye. You can see from the beautiful images there, the learners display their creativity from making their paper craft, working in groups. And also after that, I wanted to instill or infuse one of the values of sharing when they share the materials as a group. And also after the lesson, they had to clean up their working areas to show that they care about the environment. So that was another value of responsibility in the learners and ensuring that the environment was clean. So you can see that we have beautiful weaving crafts over there. We have tie and dye. We have a picture making technique, that is drawing, and wax crayons and bead making. Next slide. Next slide, Marianne. Thank you. Now, during our science lesson again, when the learners created posters talking about several issues of SGB, as an advocate of SGB, the learners have took it upon themselves to form their own club. That is Action Speaks Club. My learners have become ambassadors in the community, and they want to show this was during a parents' meeting, and there was an exchange program. You can see they held up banners showing about stop, child abuse. They may not be clear, but we had conserve the environment. Now, when they talked about end SGB or sexual gender-based violence, they were simply advocating for social justice. And social justice is one of the values that our learners should learn when they're in school, and responsibility among their learners as they take up the role of ambassadors to spread the message of ending sexual gender-based violence in our community and in the society. In the next slide. Then we come to formative assessment. Now, This is where you know whether your CBC is working for the learners or you're simply not infusing the right thing. And you can see, I use an observation schedule whereby the characteristics and behavior that learners manifest during performance of specific tasks. What I do, I observe them. Like you can see, there is crocheting going on in picture 1. So I was able to observe the learners. Were they getting the right skill that I taught when you're having the strand? Then you can see picture 2, that's a finished mat, door mat that they made. And in picture 3, that was we were doing modeling. I was able to watch them after telling them to make pinch pots using the slab technique. And I was able to observe the tasks that they were doing and the values that they wanted to infuse: keen collaboration, i.e. teamwork, okay? And if they can be able to carry that task, then I can be able to assess at the end of it all, have they managed to do it through what they've been learning in class? And then the next one. And then we have summative assessment. So here I only use a rating scale. But look at the frequency of the learner, using such words as never perform tasks, usually performs, sometimes, or works without supervision. That is at the end of the term. I would normally look at the portfolio because each and every learner has a portfolio where they display their work. And you can see from the previous slide, there are some of them that have been displayed in their classroom. And then you can see picture 1, that is a summative work. And then on picture 2, now when we reward some of our best learners who do tasks, usually do tasks without supervision, and they can be able to do it well. And you can use such words as perform tasks without, or they're meeting our expectations, such. Then we have written tests. This one measures competency in specific learning areas to show evidence from the learner on acquisition of a specific learning outcome. Creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, and even communication. When I give my learners reading, I normally do reading at the end of the term. I tell them to read a passage. Are they able to communicate? When I ask them a question, to be oral, are they able to answer when they think critically? Next slide. Then we talk about learning resources. They are locally available because CBC encourages to use what is locally available. And if in case it's not, then you can improvise. In the picture, you can see learners using clay, and clay is very much locally available to do modeling. Then also we use charcoal when we're doing crayon etching, and we also use flowers. We crush them, and then they would produce a certain color, like the bougainvillea tree, which produce the red color, purplish. No, I mean red. That's the one, the crimson red. So that one we're using in art and crafts. So you can see there's a picture of a crayon etching and modeling going on. So the resources are very much available. And if in case you can't get one, though we always have to get one, but you can improvise so that the cost is not something that becomes an issue. And then the next slide. Partnership with our parents. Our parents are very important stakeholders in the CBC and in the education process. Parents give us, been able to get paint brushes and paints for my picture making in arts and craft, knitting wools, crocheting tools when you're doing our home science. Also supervision and support when they do extended activities back at home. You saw the community service learning in doing innovative gardening. We've also had poultry in our school. They're able to extend that at home. And we also have tree planting. We planted some trees in school, and they were able to go to plant some in their community. Also, parents help us instill positive discipline and responsibility among our learners. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. Support from school leaders and government officers. Our school administration, the head teacher, the deputy, and the ones in charge of our institution, they've been able to get us inside services, inviting teachers, or we going to other schools just to watch and learn. And then sensitization at all levels. We've been able to sensitize parents on their role as caregivers and their role as stakeholders who also help us run the education process and what they can do to make CBC better, and also take their views Like that now, there are views being collected. We take in the views. What should we do? And then lesson observation among teachers. We normally have lesson observation in our school every term, whereby teachers are assessed, and then their strengths and weaknesses are taken into account and areas where they can improve. Then from the government officers at all levels, that is the Ministry of Education and Teacher Service Commission Kenya, they have been really instrumental in mounting trainings and also teacher professional support and lesson observation and appraisal. Teacher Service Commission is the employer of teachers in the Republic of Kenya, appraises teachers at the end of every term. Teachers can know how to become better in the trade that we're applying. Next slide. So challenges as we finish. Now, in my own observation and experience as we teach the CBC curriculum, some of our colleagues are yet to fully understand the competency-based assessment framework of CBC. Hence, I can't get much support from them because they cannot understand how do we assess our learners in CBC. Are we still in the 844 era or not? Some of them may want to believe in the 844. In Kenya, we had the 844 era, whereby we had multiple choices. But you see, in CBC, we are supposed to look at a learner performing a task. Is the learner meeting expectation? Is the learner approaching expectation? Is he exceeding expectations? Such kind of things. Then we have the crowded learning space. One of the biggest challenges we have, which even my colleagues can attest to this. You know, a teacher should move to help learners who have difficulties. But due to the crowding, like in our school, we are a very big school. We have over 3,000 learners. It's one of the biggest schools in Kisumu County. And you see, when you want to move, maybe in a class, we can have 116 pupils or maybe 90. So you want to move to assist learners, that may be difficult because of the overcrowding. And then poor internet connection, which I just experienced a while back while trying to log into the meeting. We normally want our learners to be so techno-savvy because the world is so much a small village, and our learners should not be left behind because we don't want to be so retrogressive that we don't infuse technology. So sometimes there's outage. We cannot log in when we want to do like that. There was a week I wanted to talk about effects of population increase in our urban centers. And I wanted the learners to watch the effects of population increase in urban centers. We couldn't log in because there was outage. Our Wi-Fi was out, and so we couldn't manage to learn because of that. And then next slide. And I thank you for listening, because listening is an art. Thank you very much. That was my presentation. And I had my colleague from Tanzania talk about CBC. Is it going to stay? CBC is a very good curriculum. One of the best experience I've had with CBC is because I'm glad when learners talents are nurtured. I'm glad when they can perform a task and carry out what they're good at. It makes me proud as a curriculum instructor, as a pedagogic cohort, that my learners can be able to perform a task and do their best. So I really wish that we would embrace this so that our skills in our learners should be more developed and they become holistic learners to be able to serve their community better and carry out the national goals of education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have learned a lot from you. And as we are going through the chats, many questions are coming, and I want you to take note of those questions, and so that at the end of the day, we can give more explanation. But
thank you.
Very fantastic. So do we go to Rachel or Frank? Okay, Rachel. Rachel, ready? Rachel?
Yes.
Yeah, you ready?
I am in. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good. Good to see you. Good.
Okay. I hope everyone is fine there. Okay,
we're fine.
Okay. I am talking about my teaching experience of competency-based curriculum, CBC, and my name is Rachel Wangari Dave from Kabete Vetrab SNE Primary School, which is Nairobi County, Kenya. Next slide. What I write about teaching the CBC is that, first of all, and I would like to say that I teach the learners in the stage-based curriculum, not in the mainstream curriculum. And the learners in the stage-based curriculum have been neglected for quite a long time. They have been coming to school and their needs have been ignored. They were not even given the necessary attention. But with CBC, all the attention has been given to them. They have been given equal opportunities like these other learners. So my main reasons as to why I like teaching CBC to these learners in the stage-based curriculum is that it enables me to focus on learners' competencies. Regardless of their disabilities, I am able to do that. I also make lessons learner-centered, regardless of their varied abilities. I also focus on acquisition of the desired knowledge, skills, values, and attitude for the desired behavior change. Although in the past, these learners were seen like they could not learn anything that could make them change their behavior. At the same time, it enables me to provide the learners with opportunities for specialization as I nurture every learner's potential. So in the learning areas, the learners will get to carry out various skills. And from these skills, I identify various abilities that make them, that make me identify what the learner.
I think we have lost Rachel.
I think we have lost her, but I think she has problem with the connection.
Yeah.
Rachel. Rachel.
There is a problem with connectivity.
Yeah, connectivity really.
Maybe we can
go to.
As she gains back connectivity, we can go to Cleopas.
Yeah, Cleopas.
I'm reaching out to her.
Okay, not yet. But Frank.
Let's go to Cleopas.
So they said they want to reach to Cleopas, but for now.
Hi everyone.
Hello?
Yes, Cleopas is on.
Okay, Cleopas, okay. Yeah. So Marian, I think you can switch to Cleopas and later we can continue with Rachel. Great.
So thank you. This is Cleopas Wanamboya Masinde, a teacher from Kenya that is in Busia County.
Go fast, are you okay? Maybe you are mute. Can you check your speaker? Are you on mute?
Cleopas, we are not able to get you.
Yeah, I think we are getting the sound, but I don't know why. Cleopas. Hello? Hello? I can hear us. Hello?
John, I think in the interest of time,
Yeah.
it's almost a time.
Time, yeah.
2 minutes to time. Maybe we can decide to shelve Cleopas and Rachel for our next meeting.
Okay. I think what was Frank? Frank has not.
Pardon?
Yeah, so okay, we can do that because of time.
We only have two that have not presented.
Yeah, two. Yeah.
So thank you so much, John, for coordinating this session. I think we have really learned a lot from our teachers. Teachers, thank you so much for the insights that you have shared. It was really powerful, very interesting and enriching. Specifically, thank you, Mercy and Frank from Malawi for sharing. It was really interesting to hear what you're doing in Malawi. From Kenya, Tony, you have succeeded to share your insights. That was very encouraging. For Cleopas and Rachel, kindly allow us to shelve this meeting again for next time so that you can be able to share. And sorry for the kind of challenge that you have undergone today. We are very sorry for that. Neema, thank you for sharing your experience in Tanzania as a teacher and also a curriculum developer at this moment. So members, maybe we can do a quick reflection of what we have learned today. I think it was quite a good experience. Maybe we can just quickly share the kind of unique role and responsibilities of our teachers, especially in development and implementation of CBC. What can you say about that? The unique role of our teachers, the power, the responsibilities of our teachers in the development and implementation of CBC. What can we say? You have heard at least from the 4 of them. Yes, members?
Members, you can ask or you can make some comments or based on these reflections from the presenters, our colleagues who have presented their experiences and some of the challenges and successes. So I think from there are a lot of things to learn from them. So we're expecting you guys to contribute.
You can go on even asking any question to any of them that's presented, just go on.
Mercy, do you have a question?
Anyone that is ready to go?
Yes.
I'm saying Philemon.
Yes.
Philemon.
Philemon from the Gambia. Yes. I have a question for Kizomo from Malawi. In his presentation, he made mention that most of his teachers, especially in the sciences, are unqualified. So how do you achieve the competencies if those teachers are not qualified and then have no idea on the pedagogies of teaching the competency-based curriculum?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. I'm sure that question is directed to me.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes,
okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. To begin with, as I said that most science teachers are underqualified, the government has put in initiatives like the introduction of CMASE, which normally concentrates on science teachers. CMASE stands for Strengthening Mathematics and science in secondary school education. There's also a project which is known as EQUALS, Equity and Learning in Secondary. These two projects are the ones that give trainings to science teachers, including those that are underqualified. And there is also a program through the EQUALS that is giving these teachers, colleges, and this conducted also try to assist these underqualified teachers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone else who is ready to go?
I wanted also to respond to the two questions that I got from the inbox.
Yes, please go ahead.
The first question was the implementation funded? If so, how was the funding spread to you, the implementers? I would say yes. The implementation of the CBC was funded and is funded. Of course, it may not be directly to the implementers, but through certain activities like when the CBC was being introduced, there has been a series of orientation programs to the implementers. Teachers have been oriented. So we were being taken maybe to a center where different teachers from different schools could meet and then be oriented on how to implement the CBC. Funding is also in terms of provision of resources like books and the other teaching and learning materials in schools. So that, to me, is funding of the implementation. The second question was, do you have subject associations that meet together or brainstorm and come up with improvement of teacher competences? Yes, we have. Some of them are the ones that I've already talked about, like the SMASE, the ECOS, we have got ATEM. There are several of them. People meet on subject-based, and this also gives a chance to those underqualified to at least be briefed on what is expected of them. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyone else from your chat? Let me go to who else?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, Masi, go on.
Mpo speaking from Lesotho.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I think in general, I like the competency-based curriculum in the sense that it seems like there's collaboration between teachers and the learners and the community. The learners are especially, I think I'm going to be a bit biased on Kenyan presentation because I'm a subject specialist in agriculture. So, but in general, I like the fact that the learners, the general presentation, they use the available resources. So they seem to be hands-on, the learners are hands-on, and then they are learning at the same time they are producing food. I think I like that one. Excuse me, I can't remember the name, but I also like the I think it's Tanzania presentation. If I'm not, yes, if I'm not mistaken, I like the idea of using the heart, the head, and the hands, if I'm not confusing the presentations. In teaching in general, we have the 3 domains, which is the cognitive. I think that one is going to engage the learners on their thinking potential and capability. That means using the head kind of, because that will reflect on their thinking capability or the brain. And I can relate the hands with the psychomotor domain, whereby the learners learn by doing and touching. They learn by being engaged, doing different activities. And I can also relate it is the heart, the head, and the what else? The hands,
head,
the
hand,
hands,
and the
the
heart.
hands, the hands is the psychomotor domain, and the heart, we can relate it to the affective domain. Whatever the learners are engaged on, they use their brain to decide maybe to what they are doing. They use their hands to be hands-on, and then they use their affection. If you are engaged in something that you love, that you are involved in, to whatever the project or whatever the activity that they are doing. So yeah, I think in general, that is what I liked about the presentation, the sharing with the teacher. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. At least you've been able to tease out the unique role and responsibilities of the teachers. Anyone else? We can look at the reflection questions. You can address any, like how have the teachers' insights today shed light on the successes and challenges in the implementation of CBC at the classroom level? Feel free to go ahead.
Fatu Sise from Gambia. Fatu, yeah, you can go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is Fatu from the Gambia. Thank you for the presentations. I come in late, but like I found this man presenting. Anyway, I don't know, but he was presenting about the challenges they are facing in implementing this competency base. Most of the challenges he mentioned, though we are yet to roll it out in schools, we are reviewing our curriculum and at the same time trying to develop materials. So the competency base is yet to be pilot in schools. But like I'm also expecting that we are going to, as a country, we are going to face some of these challenges he mentioned in his presentation. But I also want him to just make clarification on, he mentioned one challenge, managing records of learners. What do he actually mean by managing record of learners as a challenge?
Okay, Kazembe, you can go ahead and answer that.
Thank you.
Kazembe, are you there? Frank from Malawi? That was for Frank from Malawi. Where are you? I think you're not able to get.
Mercy's eye is up also.
Okay, Mercy, you can go ahead.
May she repeat that question? What did she say?
Fatu, you can repeat the question. She's asking about the records. One of the challenges.
He mentioned several challenges they are facing as a country in implementing the competency-based curriculum. And he mentioned one challenge, which I'm not very clear with, managing records of learners. He said it's a challenge. So I just want him to elaborate on that. What do he actually mean by managing records of learners?
I can't get it.
Okay, she's saying she can't get it. She talked about managing records of learners being a challenge in Malawi because of the large classes.
Yeah, you know, this outcome-based, or we can say competency-based curriculum, it requires frequent assessment of learners. So for we to judge that to master these skills, knowledge, and arts, we need frequent assessment. And those ones are supposed to be recorded. So if you have large class, sometimes you may have over 90 or 100 students in a classroom. So assess them frequently and then keep their records at the same time. may be a challenge to a teacher. Maybe in terms of resources, some teachers don't even have some, maybe some laptops, because if we each could have a laptop, could be a better way of storing maybe in soft copies, but some of the records are supposed to be done manually, so they may need the resources, they need, it's time consuming. That means you are already overloaded with another workload to do and prepare for other classes. So to manage all those is a challenge. That's why I said sometimes to keep the records of learners is a challenge. It might be, Frank can clarify, yes, but with my own experience, it might be knowledge on how to keep records. Maybe also some teachers may not know that, on knowledge on how to keep records. A number of people have problems in record keeping. So it might be some of them can just be due to negligence, but some can be knowledge on how to keep records. They don't know about that one. It's a challenge to them. And sometimes due to large class, so you are supposed to assess them frequently. So doing that and have their records well kept is also a challenge, as teachers are also preparing for other classes whereby they have got so many number of videos to teach. Sure, I can see Frank coming.
Thank you, Mercy. I think you have really answered well the question. Fatu, I think that is a good answer from Mercy. Frank,
Thank
you
you.
also have another question from Marianne. She's asking how, then a question to Frank, why do you feel that inclusive education is a challenge in CBC? Then there is a question for both Frank and Tony. Tony, how do you manage time, considering that these activities are time consuming? So either of you is ready to go.
And there is a question also from Lola. How do you determine the value needed in the curriculum? How widely they are the main implementers, the teachers being consulted in the review of the curriculum? What do you think about the cascade model in this in-service training? So this question is coming from Lola, also from the chat box. So
Frank and Tony, yes?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, please.
Can I respond to Lola's question?
Yes, please.
There are two questions. How do you determine the values needed in the curriculum? This is what is happening right now. The first thing is to conduct actually the needs assessment, like involve the whole, the society itself. What do Tanzanians want their children to have? And so what we did actually before the beginning of the review is to go around the country, talk to different groups of people, have all these meetings with stakeholders, parents, students, people, NGOs, and all those things that are supposed to be stakeholders. So the values that the data that is collected then is later analyzed, and then from there, then we can know what kind of a person, because you always want to know, even as a parent, you would want a child to be like this. And so people need to have their voice. You can't just take values from anywhere else and put them in the curriculum. You need to go out there, talk to the people, and then from the people, then you can know what kind of values do you put in the curriculum. You can't put the pseudo ones, the ones from the movies or from other people. So you need to look at the society itself. What are the needs of the society, and then put them in the curriculum. The second question is, how widely have the main implementers, the teachers, been consulted? Right now, actually, for the first time ever, I think teachers have been very involved. Teachers in all groups, from pre-primary to tutors in colleges, have been involved at this time through all the meetings, face-to-face interviews, and all other data collection methods that have been used to make sure that their voices of teachers and tutors are there in the curriculum. What do I think about cascading models? Am I supposed to say this? Okay, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I think each community has their own needs. It should be community-based. It should be done like, we have these word schools. We have this, because geographically, we are very different. The needs in remote areas are different from the needs in remote areas. We have students who walk a distance to come to school. Maybe there are very few in the classroom, right? They're about 25, but they've been walking like for an hour to come to school. It's different from town where you have 110 students in the class. So you see the needs are different from one place to another. So when you just combine these teachers in one place and then teach them, and then you tell them, the people, you just go and tell others, this is what we are doing. I think you need to localize the teaching, making sure that the teacher as a human is involved from the very beginning, so that he can own, she can own the process. I say, being told what is CBC is not the same as knowing what CBC is about through hands-on activities, as I said. So I think that's what I can say about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nema, for that feedback. I think we are well answered. Frank or Tony, you are ready to go? Frank or Tony?
Maybe hello, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, this is Tony. Now, there's a question from Frank on how do we manage time? Considering these activities are normally very much time consuming. Now, these activities are very much time consuming because they involve a lot of planning, and also we have to gather materials. We have to inform parents for those who need to get them from home. Now, what I know from what I normally do is that if we want to do an activity maybe the week after this one, that is next week, we start planning for it. Maybe I want to do it. Normally, my activities run between Monday and Tuesday. Then I'm done with all the projects. The other week we can focus on theory and the written test assessment as we move on. Because normally I like to test them weekly on a certain scale after certain strand or sub-strand. So I normally use time between 1:30 p.m. Kenyan time to 2 p.m. They normally do that Monday and Tuesday. There is a day I can plan for art. I can plan for agriculture. Then also we have our activity Fridays. Activity Fridays, we normally have our clubs or societies. So during that, we have members of the of clubs coming in to carry out their various tasks as we assess them, because we find that in between the week, there could be so many activities that are colliding. So I plan between 1:30 2 p.m. on every Tuesday Kenyan time to 2 p.m. 1:30 2 p.m. Then on Fridays, I have another activity schedule again as from 3:10 Kenyan time to 4 p.m. Kenyan time. So I find that I'm able to squeeze some of these activities. And in case I'm not able to do so, we extend them at home over the weekend. Learners can carry out a project over the weekend. Then on Monday, they present it to school, like picture making, montage, tree planting. Then they can be able to take maybe a photography evidence of what they were doing. Then they extend it back to us at school. So we find that we just have to create time for some of these things. It's not easy, but we're used to it. We just have to be creative enough and innovative, because you'll not blame anyone that you didn't have time when the learners are being assessed. So as a teacher, it's upon you to make up time and be creative enough while keeping in mind the learners' welfare. We don't want to overburden learners with a lot of work. We give them space to be creative, to be themselves, and that is what helps us a lot at the school. Then I also saw a certain question that how do I manage to deal with parents from poor background who cannot afford this thing? Well, I look at the topic that I'm supposed to if it's a project, learning project that's supposed to do the learners. What I normally do, I group them. The parents know, but we've sensitized them enough to know that some of these things can be done in groups. A parent can volunteer. I'll buy this mwalimu, I'll buy this teacher. So we find that all these learners feel accommodated, just in case it's something. But we normally try as much as possible to use the locally available material like them. There's a day I was doing what do you call it? Weaving. We used a banana fiber We used bamboo leaves, we used palm leaves. These ones were locally available. The ones who had the freedom to come with the knitting wool came with them. So there was a blend, there was a mixture. So learners from areas that are disadvantaged, we have a plan with them because we let them work in groups where parents volunteer, learners volunteer to bring the materials, and we make them feel part of our learning process. So they're not left out. In fact, the theme is no learner should be left behind. And as a teacher, we never leave any learner behind because we're keen enough to know that at the end of the day, we need to be accountable for the learners learn. We need to ensure that these learners have got something to take back to the community and to help him in a holistic way as he looks at he or she looks towards the future. Thank you very much. I hope I've answered the questions.
Thank you so much, Tony, for that good feedback. I think it is very clear that teachers are really creating time, going out of their way to create a time for these kind of activities. And again, weekends are also avenues for the teachers to be able to do the extended activities, even with the learners. So thank you so much for that. Frank, I don't know whether you're ready.
Excuse me, Madam Neri.
Yes, Rachel.
Excuse me. Yes, I'm requesting. I was out of touch, but now I've been able to come back very well.
Because of time, Rachel, we have discussed that we shall your discussion, yours and Cleopas for next meeting. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about
that challenge. Sorry for that. Okay. Any other person with a question? Or Frank, are you ready? I think we have learned quite a lot. It is almost 6 minutes to 6 Kenyan time. And so I would not like, yes, Mercy?
Yeah, maybe if there was a question on where Frank is supposed to respond on challenges in implementing inclusive education in this competence-based curriculum. So I would love to respond to that one. I have two. Maybe, SNE teachers are not even distributed. They are not, we don't have many of them. So in some areas, especially in rural areas, we have problems. I am also the head teacher. We have problems in identifying some of the SNE students. So if we cannot identify them, that means we may not treat them the way they are supposed to be treated. So that one also creates a challenge on how we can implement this inclusive education. So if we don't, we need to be trained on that one, or we need to have at least a special needs education teacher who can help the school to identify these students with special needs and then and treat them well the way they are supposed to. So that's why it's a challenge.
Thank you. Thank you
there
so
was
much.
Also a question on me. I have also seen a question to the messages. They say, how is the CPD organized in your country? So in Malawi, for now, there is a CPD framework that is being developed and it will be released soon. But currently, CPDs are organized at the national level by the Ministry of Education through DTED. Also, the DQuas people, they also organize at the divisional level. We also organize at the school level if we identify a gap, because we have talked of sometimes in rural areas, we have teachers who are underqualified. Some of them, they are graduates, but they teach subjects they didn't do in college. They are just caretakers because of the shortage of qualified teachers in those fields. So if we identify a gap that they have a challenge somewhere, as a school also, we organize a CPD where we invite facilitators who come and assist our teachers, and then they implement that one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mercy. I think in the interest of time, we have had a very good insights for each one of us, and we have had a very good discussion. So because of time, I'd like to end this session at this point and invite Marianne to take us through next steps so that we see what we can do, especially for our teachers that have not been able to share their experiences. Marianne, over to you.
Yes, Nellie, thank you so much. Could we take a quick photograph, everyone, before we start losing more people? I see that I think 10, 15 people have already left the meeting. So before we wrap up, let's take a quick photograph. If everyone can turn on their cameras for a moment, and we'll get whoever's still here on camera. It's a tradition that we do to commemorate the great discussion that we have. Okay, so if you are able to, please turn on your camera. Mapo, Macabello, Henak, you too, if you can. Neema. Cleophas is here. Cleophas, if you would like to turn your camera on, we're taking a group picture. Anne, Nagatia. Okay, I think we'll just take the picture then. A few people haven't turned their cameras on. Ah, there you are, Anne. Good to see you. Macabello and Cleophas, Naima. Okay, let's take our picture. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. That looks really good, and we'll share it on the WhatsApp group. Colleagues, I just want to say, wow, what a wonderful meeting this was. It was so rich, so diverse, so many different experiences coming together, but all linked, all unified around a passionate love for learning and love for our students. I am just blown away by the quality of today's discussion. There's so much more that we can discuss, but the time is short, so we'll have to end today's meeting. But I agree that with Nellie that we need to find a way to incorporate those 2 teachers who couldn't present today. I think we have heard from Tony, from Frank, Mercy, and Nima, but we still have to hear from Cleophas and Rachel. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so next Thursday, we invite you all back and we invite Cleophas and Rachel to present, and we will also have a few more teachers next week. Colleagues, what we are doing these days is we are getting a rich understanding of what CBC implementation looks like in the classroom. We've seen photographs today, we've heard passionate discussions of people's experiences. This is really important. So I want to thank our presenters today, and I want to thank the excellent job of John and Nellie to guide today's discussion. So colleagues, we will see you next Thursday, and you can consider yourself all members of the community of practice. We are a community. We are practicing competency-based education, either implementing it in the classroom or helping to design CBC at the national level or strengthen it at the national level. We all have a different role to play in the improvement of CBC and education systems throughout sub-Saharan Africa. And this meeting today was one example of African solutions, African innovation, and African learning. So this is one way that we are addressing the ongoing challenges in education through this community of practice. You're most welcome to stay connected to this community of practice. Does anyone want to give any final thoughts before we end today's session?
Hello, everyone.
Yes,
hello, everyone.
Cleophas. Okay, we can hear you.
Yes, it has been a challenge to connect and reach you people. And if I were given chance now to write the day I'll never forget, this could have been the day, because ICT has never been a problem to me. But we thank God for this far. Next Thursday, God willing, we'll meet and discuss about the CBC. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I too. Okay. Good evening, members.
Good evening.
Okay, according to me, I have had some challenges I never expected as well, because I am not able to explain how there was shortage of power and I was not able to access the Wi-Fi when I was just presenting. I'm very sorry for that. So next meeting, I'll be there. And I have learned so much from whatever has been presented.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next meeting communicated.
Wonderful, everyone. See you next Thursday. And if you're not part of our WhatsApp group yet, please do check out the link in the chat box. I'm sharing the link. You are welcome to join our WhatsApp group. We have a group together. And so far it's filled up with quite a few people who are involved in ministries of education, curriculum institutes, teacher colleges, and now with your inclusion at the school level too. So now we'll have teachers in the group for the first time. You are most welcome. We need to learn from you. We need to learn from teachers teaching the voices from the classroom. I am a teacher myself, and I think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done to bring teachers into policy circles so they can have a direct line to those who are in authority positions. So thank you once again. John and Nellie, over to you if you have any final thoughts.
Marianne, just before Nellie speaks, Marianne, yeah, I actually also want to thank you, Marianne, for coordinating the whole program. I cannot leave this session without you share the presentations from
Definitely.
from the
We will
teachers.
definitely
As
share
usual,
them.
you've always done us proud. Thank you so much.
Jeanette, I don't know if I have your email
Thank
address.
you.
Are you part of the
Yes.
WhatsApp group?
Yes.
Okay, we'll share them on the WhatsApp group, the presentations. All right. John, anything else? Nellie, anything else?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye. See you next time.
Yeah, thank you. I think it is fine. And, we're expecting to get another time experience sharing for next week. But for today, it was fantastic.
Sure. True.
Thank you so
We
much.
really appreciate.
Bye,
everyone.
And
Bye-bye.